Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another malicious compliance Reddit video. New Army captain tries to end her career. I used to be an armorer in the US Army. I was the person in charge of securing and maintaining all the weapons. I was stationed overseas at a base that only had one arms room, and I was the guy who ran it. So instead of just being responsible for the weapons in my unit, I was responsible for all the weapons in the entire post. On paper, that's a job that's supposed to be done by an E6 with a two-person support staff. In reality, the position was chronically short-staffed. It was just me as an E4 doing the job of 3 people. Because the position was critical to the operations of a bunch of different units, including things like PSYOPs and Special Forces, where everything about them is classified by default, and joint operations with the Navy and Air Force, and a few foreign militaries who were working with the US, I had to get a security clearance that was higher than everyone else in my own unit. As far as I knew, there were only 4 other people on the post with clearance high enough to do what I did, and they were all officers. This led to some amusing situations where I was accidentally called for security briefings that were way above my pay grade. That sucked because I was on call all the time and had to go to work anytime anyone needed a weapon. Being on call was supposed to be a duty rotation, but I was the only one who could do it, so I slept in the arms room a lot. I wanted to make sure I had as little to do as possible, so I got very good at my job. How good? During an Army-wide review of the entire supply chain, my post was found to be the best-run arms room in the entire Army. I won a medal and everything. Then we had a change in command, and the new captain hated that I didn't have to go on training exercises because I wasn't allowed to be more than 30 minutes away from the arms room. Ever. The compliance. The new captain was absolutely determined to take me on a training mission. She'd somehow gotten it into her head that I was a slacker, which I absolutely was, but only because I was efficient and pissed off that I never got to leave the base. So she drew up a bunch of paperwork to sign the arms room over to the supply sergeant. I refused to sign, because the person with all the ammo and the person with all the guns are supposed to be different people. Next, she tried to sign the arms room over to the PSYOPs company commander. I refused to sign because that commander had become a friend of mine, so I knew he was required to leave the base weekly for security briefings. Finally, she tried to sign the arms room over to our company's supply lieutenant. I tried to explain that the lieutenant didn't have high enough security clearance, but she cut me off. She said she was tired of my excuses. Then she ordered me to sign and threatened me with an Article 15. I wrote under duress on the paperwork. She didn't even look at the signature. So I sent an email to the warrant officer who was in charge of logistics for the area. He was the guy who'd given me the award I mentioned earlier, so he was pissed when he found out what was going on. Then I went on the crappy little weekend training exercise where I basically enjoyed my vacation. That sequence of events happened on a Friday afternoon. The chief didn't get my email until Monday morning. On Monday afternoon, my captain was relieved of command. I eventually had to testify at her disciplinary hearing. My second favorite part of the whole experience was the supply lieutenant, who got a slap on the wrist for inadvertently obeying illegal orders because he hadn't learned the regulations before signing, saying, "Is it like that for you all the time? This has to change." My favorite part was the full-bird colonel in charge of the hearing asking my former commander, "Your soldier was awarded for being the best at his job in the entire army. After he refused your orders the first few times, why didn't you start asking questions?" An edit for some clarity about a bunch of questions I've been getting. This was at Camp Hiale. It doesn't exist anymore, but you can look it up to see all the different units that were there. They all used the same arms room, and yes, that's weird and it sucked. I had a TS clearance. It was explained to me that knowing the weapons logistics of the whole post was a big deal. I had the training and deployment schedules of 24 units, including foreign militaries, other branches, and an SF group. That's a lot of important information, and it was definitely above my pay grade. I absolutely should not have been the person doing that job, but I was. I knew I needed to cover my butt, which is why I was so careful about record keeping. There were probably more than 4 people with TS clearance on the base. I only knew of 4. Unsurprisingly, none of them wanted to do my job and had the clout to say no when asked. I didn't actually go to any fancy security briefings. I was mistakenly called twice and promptly told to leave. I think the person scheduling the briefings just sent a shotgun email to everyone who had TS clearance. After the second time, I stopped getting them, so someone must have sorted it out. At the disciplinary hearing, I was called to answer questions. I showed up, answered, and was dismissed. It was a long drive to another base for 30 minutes of standing and talking. I don't know anything about the results. The captain didn't come back. That's all I know. The award I won is called an ARCOM. It's not uncommon. I wasn't some kind of indispensable prodigy. I was just in a job above my pay grade and scared of flipping up, so I took very meticulous records. Because I was the only one doing anything, I had to really know the system, so I got an award for being good at passing an audit. I'd like to thank the people who introduced me to Zach Hazard. I've been binging his stuff on YouTube since last night. It's hilarious and vindicating. And yes, I know it's psyops. That was me having a moment of stupid, and I'm not going to fix it because the jokes in the comments are pretty funny. Sure, I'll keep my meals under $30 as per the policy. I'll make sure it's $30 every single time. I do a lot of fly-in, fly-out travel for my job. Usually I'm so busy with work while on site, or am stationed somewhere with food options I don't want to waste my calories on, and so I don't eat anything the whole day or just buy a cup of coffee. Our employee expenses policy at work is $30 a day, which is mostly fine. But there are some high cost of living cities, and sometimes my meals go above that policy because there are not many options. Especially if I want to eat healthy, which is important when you are constantly on the road. Plus, so many airports have completely shut down their food courts and haven't reopened them yet, so there's hardly any options but fast food. So one month I submit my expenses and I have gone $1.50 over the daily limit. I had treated myself to a coffee that morning as well as a lunch because I was tired after the god-awful early flight I had to take. The company had recently changed their policy and now a different set of people were approving expenses. The previous people didn't mind going over by a few bucks because it balances out with trips where I didn't eat anything, but this new group are absolute sticklers and rejected the expense, citing I was over the daily limit. I tried to argue. I had 10 other visits that month in which I didn't eat a single thing, but they weren't budging. It really left a sour taste in my mouth. Now, every single visit I force myself to spend as close to $30 as I can because flip them! My husband is happy because it means I now bring back slightly squished but free food for him. I feel bad for wasting food, but often I just buy a meal and eat a few bites and throw it in the bin. However, the expense policy is $30 a day, and by God, I am going to stick to it now. While in the past, I might have billed $100 for the entire month because I didn't bother to eat, I am now billing 2 or 3 times that. I also used to push myself to keep working all day, but now I religiously take my 30 minutes to go and buy some food, so that's 30 minutes less work they are getting from me too. This is John from /Bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to be the first to know when the next one drops, now is the time to subscribe. I would love for you to drop a like, share with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one.